there's not many times where I've been nervous in games of football. But when I walked out and heard that roar as captain, that gave me a few butterflies, to be fair.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Blues News podcast. On today's episode 17, I've had a little break, but I am back and I'm back with a bang because we've got a brilliant guest on today that I'm really excited about. Tonks, Tamworth Midfielder, and you may know him as the person with the best throw in football. I'm sure you've heard that many times, Tommy. But first, Tommy, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Obviously, really excited to have you on. As I said, I haven't done one of these in a little while, but thought I'd come back with a great guest, and I really appreciate you coming on. So, firstly, is it something a little bit different coming on an opposition podcast? Obviously, you've been on a few sort of like non-league podcasts, but this is obviously quite a heavy Southend podcast. Is that something a bit different for you?
Yeah, I think I've actually done. I've done one or two, I think. So yeah, it's just like, mate, I love talking about football. So anytime I get to talk about football, then I don't mind, mate. But yeah, I don't mind doing them. It's like I say, it's all football talk. So yeah, it's all good to me.
Well, we've got lots of football to talk about today, so we'll get straight into it. So, if we start by talking a little bit about your football career and sort of how you first got into it, what sort of age did you first start playing?
I've literally played all my life. I'm literally just at my nan's now, and I've just seen a little picture of myself in the garden with a football, which is quite ironic. But yeah, literally since I can remember, going to watch my dad, going to watch the Wolves when I'm a little kid and things like that. Yeah, so mate, literally it's all I've ever known, really. I kind of eat, sleep and breathe football, and it's something that's been with me through my whole of my career and pretty much all of my life, really.
So obviously we'll get onto it a little bit later, but you've got loads of experience in football now, and particularly non-league. So as fans, I think I've supported Southend for quite a few years, even though I've not always been able to go because I actually live in Kent. If you didn't know, so I live in Kent, so it's always been a bit tricky to get to games. But in the past few years, we've been to pretty much every game that we can, and obviously I'm a season ticket holder now. But with non-league, I think it's been one of the leagues that I've probably enjoyed the most, even though it's got its ups and downs. But I actually love non-league and sort of non-league football, and I feel like it's proper football. But as a sort of player perspective, what do you think of non-league, and sort of how have you found it over the years?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant, mate. Like I say, if you're not privileged enough to come through all these luxurious academies and things like that, then it is the next best thing, kind of thing. And if you want to play football at a decent standard, then non-league is the perfect way to go. You can always get picked up by these academies and professional clubs. So yeah, it's brilliant. Like I say, I think I've managed to play for some good clubs locally to me, and some big clubs in and around step 3 and step 2. So yeah, it's been brilliant for myself, mate. Like I say, I think as a player, you just want to play in front of fans, and you see at the level we're at now, it's you get some really good grounds. Similar to yourself at Southend, it's probably one of the best stands all round. You get some 3-sided stadiums, but I think it is one of the best in the league at Southend, and it was it was great to play there and things like that. So yeah, non-league is what it is. I think we get a lot more fans these days because I think the pricing of Premier League games and things like that is going through the roof. So I think you can if you've got a family, you can take them to games and things like that, and it's pretty much half the price, and you probably get a little bit more competitive edge, to be honest. So yeah, I've loved non-league, mate. Like I say, I've played it pretty much. I've played in the park up to grounds like Southend, Yeovil, Oldham, and places like that. So yeah, it's been brilliant for me.
Well, you mentioned there some of the sort of grounds that you played at, particularly in the National League. So what, obviously, you don't have to say Roots Hall if you don't want to, but what's probably the nicest ground that you've played at or best sort of atmosphere?
I did, like I say, I did really enjoy Southend. But we play Yeovil on Tuesday night. That was another, it's a proper place to play football. But places like Oldham and York as well, where you can get, towards 10,000 fans there. I don't know what the capacities are, but some of them are just brilliant. And like I say, I am a Wolves fan, so I've managed to watch the Wolves against the likes of Southend, Yeovil, Oldham, Rochdale. So to go to some of these places and play myself is, it's brilliant, mate. And like I say, it's been a great journey for myself. And as I get a little bit older, I'm starting to see the rewards a little bit now of playing some of these fantastic places. But yeah, honestly, Southend's up there, but I'd have to go with York. I think it's a little bit more modern.
Yep.
But so yeah, I think I'll go with that one.
Yeah, well, I went to York in back in December with Southend for the first time, and I was definitely impressed. It's quite a nice. Quite often with these modern grounds, I don't really like them, but I actually thought York was quite a nice, like, sort of modern ground. So if we talk a little bit about your Tamworth career, obviously we're going to be talking about Tamworth quite a lot. Obviously the amazing cup run, which we'll get onto later. But what people might not know about you is you've actually played for Tamworth. This is your second time playing for them. So you played for them before, sort of during the COVID years, and then you came back in 2023. So what sort of made you want to come back?
I kind of had the chance to come to Tamworth before I actually come. I ended up at Rushall Olympic, which were in the same league. But because I'm like a man of my word, I kind of spoke to the Rushall manager, because as funny as it sounds, I couldn't really get in touch with Tamworth at the time, and I didn't get a call from them till a couple of days later. But like I say, I am a man of my word, and I shook hands with Rushall, so I kind of ended up going there. So I think the manager, Andy Peters, always knew about myself. And then because I was non-contracted at Rushall, it was just a case of putting 7 days in. So that's something Tamworth did. I spoke to them after the 7 days, and the position in the league that we were in at the time, it was a little bit chalk and cheese from Rushall to Tamworth. And at the time, like I say, Tamworth were doing well. So, that thought process in my head of we can potentially get in the playoffs was my first thought. But, as the season went on and I went to Tamworth and we kept winning, we weren't losing, we were keeping clean sheets, and all of a sudden you're top of the league and you're going, something special can happen here. And, Andy Peaks and the group itself, we managed to do that, and it was just a brilliant season last season. And I know the club actually went back to back kind of thing in promotions, which was brilliant. But yeah, it was just the position in the league, mate, and potentially, everybody wants to win things, and that's what we managed to do at Tamworth last season.
We touched on it there, but it was actually a back-to-back promotion. So obviously they got promoted the season before you joined, and then obviously again when you joined. So how did that sort of feel, getting promoted to the National League for the first time?
I did manage to play a few games for Solihull a few years back, but it wasn't a very successful period. So I did manage to play a couple of games there, but yeah, it was a great feeling. Like I say, we this season we've had we've had a good FA Cup run, but to actually win a league title, I think that has to be up there with probably the greatest achievement. I'm always one of them. I want to play as high as I can for as long as I can, and probably in the twilight of my career, it's probably not going to come around too many times now. So yeah, it was just brilliant, and the way that we did it as well. We won so many games with clean sheets, and I think that as a team, that's something you have to pride yourself on. So yeah, last season was brilliant, mate, and so that's how it come about, and the potential of actually gaining promotion.
Well, one thing this season that's sort of been a bit new, obviously, you've been playing with Tamworth in National League, so that's something new. But another thing that's been quite a new thing for all involved with National League is the National League Cup. And obviously, it's sort of split opinions a little bit with fans. Some clubs haven't participated. I know Southend, for example, haven't participated. And some fans like it, some fans don't. But as a player, what do you sort of make of it?
It's another game of football. You potentially get some minutes into players that are probably on the fringes of playing in the National League itself. So in that sense, it's good. But for a part-time team like Tamworth, you know, like I say, we've had to go to Yeovil on a Tuesday night. We've had to do Hartlepool on a Tuesday night. So it has been a little bit of an inconvenience for a club like ours. But I can see the pros and the cons of it. So it's, you know, it's a decision that's taken out of players' hands. If the club want to do it, then the club do it. It is what it is. So it's another fixture there, and the players have to play in it. So that's the way it is. But what I'm pretty much in the camp where they're all home games for teams, you know, in the National League anyway. So it's not too bad, but I would say it's caused a little bit more of an inconvenience than it has, you know, than it would be a positive, to be fair.
Well, as I'm sure you can expect, we're going to be talking about Tamworth's Cup run in the FA Cup very soon. But something people may not know about you is this is actually not your first big cup run. So in 2016, with obviously Stourbridge, you beat Northampton Town, a League Two side, which, you know, many people have called Stourbridge, you know, the FA Cup non-league team of the decade. So it's you know, again, a big cup run. But sort of what did you think of that cup run then, and sort of how did it compare with your most recent cup run?
Well, the one at Stourbridge, it was kind of my first, so it was one that I'll always, you know, think about and, you know, go back to the games and things like that. But being captain as well at the time at Stourbridge was just brilliant. Like you say, we beat Northampton. You know, you get to walk out next to, you know, some really good players. I think Matt Taylor played at the time. What a player he's been. And then we moved on to Wickham, and I think Stourbridge took about 2,500 fans there, which was brilliant for, you know, a club of that size. And then to walk out as captain and hear that was brilliant. There's not many times where I've been nervous in games of football, but when I walked out and heard that roar as captain, that gave me a few butterflies, to be fair. Which it was great, mate. And, you know, like I say, it is comparable to, you know, similar to the run we've just been on, as we beat, you know, League One teams there as well. But yeah, it doesn't quite compare to, you know, playing a top six Premier League team in Tottenham. So I'd have to say the occasion, you know, this season, a few weeks ago was very special. And yeah, like I say, it's not, there were 65, 70 million pound players on the pitch with us, which was a little bit surreal, really.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that cup run in a moment. But, you know, Stourbridge just sort of beating a team in League Two like Northampton at the time, and then going on to, you know, quite narrowly lose to Wickham as well, getting to the third round. It's quite amazing for a seventh tier, I believe it was at the time. So, you know, such an amazing achievement. But you've clearly got a thing for cup runs, which we're going to talk about now. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Tamworth Cup run, which I'm sure many people want to talk about. So if we sort of go in order, so if we start with the first game, which was a 4-2 win against Macclesfield. So then obviously that was the qualifier round. And then obviously in the first round, you drew Huddersfield. So what was drawing a big club like Huddersfield that early on? What was that sort of like? Was there a bit of, you know, excitement about playing a big club like that? Or is it a bit like you'd like them a bit later on? Or what was the sort of feelings around that?
Yeah, I think drawing Huddersfield at that moment, I don't think that there was many bigger clubs that we could have drew. To be honest, like I think they were in the Premier League 4 years ago, possibly. I remember them doing the double over the Wolves. To be honest, in the season they got relegated. So yeah, it was great, mate. To be honest, everybody says, would you have wanted it away? But then we probably wouldn't have had the run that we had. So yeah, it was brilliant. Even against Macclesfield in the first game was tough. It's like I say, we are a part-time team, and to come up against another full-time team in Macclesfield was it was a bit mad. But yeah, we got through it. We managed to get through the Huddersfield game, and we were actually really good on the night, to be honest. And you know, it was just it happened to be, you know, a little bit of a light on me with the way the goal was scored and things like that. But I wouldn't change it, mate. The whole occasion, like, you know, at Tamworth, it's not we don't have, you know, some of the surroundings like yourself at Southend. So the ground had to change a little bit, kind of thing, which is a little bit crazy when we trained on the Thursday. So yeah, it was great, mate. And like I say, it's another memory that I'll take with me.
What sort of changes had to happen to the ground before that game then?
It's just like the advertising boards and scaffolding go up for like the cameras and things like that. And you have to have certain regulations, I think. Like I say, that's a little bit above my pay grade, but like I say, it was more the advertising boards and the boxes and all the cameras and things like that for the media.
What did that sort of feel like, having those sort of little changes and it feeling like a really, really big game, which of course it was? What did that sort of feel like?
Yeah, like I say, I had quite a lot of media attention, really, to be honest. So it kind of changed my routines of life for a couple of months, to be honest. So it was a little bit surreal, but like I say, they're all memories that I'll take with me, and I wouldn't change them. But yeah, it was just like I say, whatever happens off the pitch, I can kind of control, and then I try and control what was on the pitch. And like I say, I got a little bit lucky that night. So yeah, I was absolutely buzzing, to be fair.
Well, you say luck, but that was an absolute rocket of a throw. I'm sure I'll try and get a video of it on the screen, but I'm pretty sure everyone's seen it by now. It's got God knows how many views on YouTube. So, of course, in that Huddersfield game, the one goal of the game came for an own goal, but set up through your rocket of a throw. So, what did that sort of feel like as soon as you've thrown it? Did you sort of have a feeling it was going to go in?
Well, like I say, I try and put the keeper under a little bit of a pressure. When I'm kind of throwing them from inside the 18-yard box kind of thing. So I knew it was going close. And like I say, at Tamworth we have got some big lads that can head the ball and want to put themselves in there. So when I realised it wasn't as close to any of them as I would have hoped, I was kind of just hoping that somebody had got a touch, and then you're looking at the ref and the linesman to see what's going on, and then the referee blows his whistle, points to the centre circle, and you're going, "Oh my God, it's a goal!" I think so. Yeah, I didn't really know what to do because I haven't scored many goals this season. So I think I just gave it a little aeroplane or something and just run towards the bench, and then all the players come over and things like that, and the roar of the fans. Yeah, honestly, mate, it was brilliant, and there was, like I say, there was a long way to go in the game. So yeah, you had to kind of come back down to earth really quick, to be honest, because if we had switched off, we could have ended up losing by quite heavily, really. But we managed to get back inside the game and and put a decent performance on for the next 50, 60 minutes.
But yeah, as you just mentioned, the goal came just before the break. So what was the team talk for the gaffer like at half time?
It was kind of just more of the same, really. Keep setting them up, keep putting them under pressure. They were always going to have spells where we had to defend for large periods of time. And like I say, I think the back four that night and Jazz singing goal were superb. But, everyone really, Creaney led the line really well. I think there was a few lads coming down with cramp towards the end, and I was probably one of them. But yeah, it was brilliant, mate. Like I say, the adrenaline and the occasion just got us through those last 10, 15 minutes, really. So yeah, it was great. You just, like I say, when you go 1-0 up and then you get into the second half, you're just trying to knock the game down in 10-minute periods, things like that. And luckily it got us the result that we wanted.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously progression through to the next round, and you drew Burton, of course, another league team. So what did you make of that draw?
Honestly, mate, I think it's the one that the fans wanted, because Burton to Tamworth's a little bit of a local derby.
Yeah.
I think there's only 30-minute travelling time, so that was when the buzz of the town started to get, really big and things like that. And then again, more media attention and things like that. So it was brilliant. And like I say, we had to go to extra time in that game, and then penalties, and it was just, honestly, it's an old cliche, but it was just a roller coaster of emotions, really.
So you got subbed off in that game in the 84th minute, obviously before the penalties. Would you have liked to take in a penalty?
Yeah, I always back myself to take a penalty. I think I strike a good ball and quite good from dead balls and things like that. I did go through a period when I was at Stafford Rangers where I was the penalty taker. And I think I only missed 1 in 2 seasons. Touch wood, if it ever comes again, then I like to think I can hit the back of the net. So yeah, I'd have loved to have taken one, but the manager chose to bring me off because I was probably cramping up again, because I do like to work hard and things like that. So yeah, I would have loved to take one, but the boys got it done for me in the end.
Yep. Well, watching from the bench then, obviously, what were you thinking when Burton took the lead and then about 2 minutes later, Tamworth equalised? What were you sort of feeling in that moment?
Yeah, there was a sense of being gutted type of thing, but we equalised quite quickly, really. So, it didn't really set in. But I think we always back ourselves to score a goal because we got some really good players in the attacking areas. And apart from maybe one or two games this season, we have been quite good at the back, and we haven't the floodgates haven't opened many times. That many times. So yeah, like I say, we are a good team, mate, and we're holding our own in the league this season. But when you're coming up against these, these football league teams, it is a different kettle of fish, and it is your cup final every time it comes around. So yeah, like I say, mate, it was brilliant. Like again, Jazz was brilliant in goal, managed to save. I think it was 3 penalties in the end. And we only missed the one. So yeah, to get through on penalties, I think some people say that penalties is the best way to go through, really. But you're not guaranteed the win, are you?
No, definitely not. And I mean, I was watching it myself, and I was feeling a bit nervous, which is mental because I have no connection to Tamworth at all. But even I was rooting for Tamworth. But obviously, this was the game against Burton was the only one of the cup run to be away. So was it quite a nice little change to be away, especially a league team?
Yeah, of course it is. It's always nice to to visit some some decent grounds. And like I say, Burton isn't too far from Tamworth and myself. So yeah, no, like I say, I have got 100% record there because I've played there once before.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good, but like I say, we don't really change too much. Whoever we play or wherever we play, we try and concentrate on ourselves, and we do what we do well. So yeah, it was a nice change. But it like I say, more importantly, it was just get through to the next round, however that happens, wherever you play or whoever you play. So yeah, I'm just happy we got to do that against Burton.
Well, next up, of course, is the big one out of them. So obviously Spurs at home. So what was that like drawing them? Were you with all your teammates?
No, because we there was the option to go to the ground and watch it live on a big screen, but we don't have many local lads at Tamworth. So at the time, I just had a little baby, so I couldn't really spend much more time out the house, kind of thing. So I watched it in my living room with my partner and my little one. So yeah, it was crazy. But like I say, I was watching the draw, and I wanted the Wolves. Obviously, being a Wolves fan would have been brilliant. But the next best thing really is a top 6 Premier League team. And then people are saying, "Oh, can you get the fixture reversed and things like that?" But we fancy ourselves against anybody at home. We obviously we're under no illusions how tough it was going to be because they are who they are. They've got some fantastic international players. But like I say, we fancied our chances. We gave ourselves a good chance of winning because we had different ways of winning football games. So yeah, it was brilliant. But yeah, I can't say my phone stopped for about a week because it didn't. People were just texting me what's going on. Then, like I say, all the media starts again and things like that. So it was brilliant, mate. And like I say, I probably wouldn't be talking to you now if the FA Cup didn't happen, kind of thing. So yeah, it's been brilliant. And like I say, I love doing media work, and maybe in the future I can do something like that. But at the minute, I'm still playing. But yeah, it was crazy. It was so crazy.
Well, you said there, obviously, you fancy yourselves at home, and you spoke about that great home record for Tamworth. But was there even a little part of you that was a little bit gutted you couldn't play at Spurs?
Obviously there is, because it's one of the best stadiums in Europe. So yeah, that would have been fantastic. But it was one of them. You seen what happened to Salford on the night before when I think City put 8 past them, was it 7 or 8 kind of thing? And my best mate's the captain at Salford. So I was watching that with Hawkeyes. So yeah, it was one of them. do you want the experience or potentially the embarrassment kind of thing?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was happy it was at home. Like I say, we gave a good account of ourselves for 90 minutes. But yeah, like I say, it would have been nice. But like I say, I'm one of them. I don't really fancy getting beat. Probably what 10, 11, 12-0 maybe, because I think there'd have been a different kettle of fish at their place.
Well, yeah, definitely. And obviously, we'll get onto the game in a minute, but you really did push them right to the wire as well. So it was a really close game. So, but in the preparation for the game, obviously, you've spoken, and I think one of the things that I've noticed the most about you since you've been talking on the podcast has been the confidence that you sort of have as a club at Tamworth and how sort of you back yourselves against anyone, even if it is Spurs. But was there any sort of slight differences in preparation, maybe a bit of extra training sessions, or was it pretty much the same as normal?
Hey mate. So on the Saturday, we were meant to have Sutton in the FA Trophy, and it was around the time of the bad weather when it was freezing, so the game actually got called off. So originally we were meant to have Wealdstone on that Tuesday, but because we were both in the FA Cup around the time of organising it, they did let us rearrange the fixture. So to get Sutton away on that Tuesday, where we both arranged to, have a night off and maybe an extra training session, was a little bit, not bad, because it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. But we could have had 2 sessions, but we literally had the Thursday night to work on anything really, and we tried just to concentrate on ourselves, because we didn't really know what team they were going to pick, whether they were going to bring under 21s or anything like that. But they showed us a little bit of respect, and they played some top players. But like I say, the whole ground had to change again. You got all the electronic advertising boards, you got more scaffold up and things like that. It was a different level to anything we've ever experienced before. So yeah, it was crazy, mate.
Well, as I said about the confidence that you sort of have and the club, but when match day came, were you quite nervous?
No, honestly, no. I'm just, like I say, I don't really get nervous. I've played a lot of games of football. But yeah, I was expecting myself to do it as well. So on that morning, we actually went for breakfast as a team. It's the first time we've done it this season. So I think everyone having conversations about it, and the cameras being there and following us around the hotel and things like that, maybe that took away the nerves. I don't know, but like I say, a lot of the lads just seem to take it in the stride as well. I know a few boys did a bit to the media as well, and like I say, they all spoke well. So yeah, it was brilliant, mate. Like I say, from a personal level, I wasn't that nervous kind of thing. I just try and concentrate on doing what I do. But yeah, it was a little bit different the whole day and the morning and things like that. But like I say, mate, we loved every minute of it.
Well, in the game itself, obviously, at the end of full time, the game remained 0-0. So, what was the team talk? I asked earlier about the Huddersfield game, but what was the team talk sort of like at 0-0, full time? They haven't put one past you, and you're going to extra time. What was that team talk from the gaffer sort of like?
Yeah, the gaffer were just like, there has to be an upset in the FA Cup. There just has to be. We've seen it with Liverpool against Plymouth. And we're just like, mate, can it be us? Can it be us? But it was always going to be tough, mate. Like I say, they bought Son on and Kulusevski, and once it went into extra time, our lads were really tired. To be fair, there was a few lads literally out on the feet because we were giving it all we could. But yeah, the gaffer was like, just do your best. That's it. Try and stay in the game for as long as possible. And if it goes to penalties again, we always back Jazz to save 1 or 2 and give us a chance. But like I say, mate, they just run over us a little bit in extra time, and like I say, they are who they are, and we are who we are. So it was always going to be tough.
Absolutely, and as I said before, that I was watching the game, rooting for Tamworth, and it's sort of weird because all sorts of fans were rooting for Tamworth, And did you feel that sort of support, not just from Tamworth fans, but wider football community as well?
Yeah, 100%, mate. Like I say, because I'd done a lot of media, I do my shopping every Friday after work, and there was people coming up to me in the supermarket going, "All the best tomorrow. Is that you on the telly?" And the news come to my work, so everybody, who's seen me at work was like, "All the best tomorrow," kind of thing. So yeah, it did change. I'm not going to say it didn't, but like I say, I like to think I took it all in my stride and things like that, and came across well.
And obviously, the game, after a really strong performance from Tamworth, it obviously ended 3-0 to Spurs. Were you a little bit disappointed with the result, or not really at all? Were you just more proud of what you did?
Yeah, so when people ask me that question, I say we gutted, but we proud. I think we had a couple of chances, didn't we, towards the end of the 90 minutes. If the legs weren't as tired, we'd have probably scored, and we'd have gone down in a little bit of history, kind of thing. But no, like you say, mate, we gave a good account of ourselves. I think every player on the pitch did, and we just tried our best, and we weren't expected to do anything. We were expected to lose 3 or 4-0, I think. So to take them to where we did into extra time, and then they only beat us 3-0 was a credit to the club and the players.
Well, you mentioned some of the stars in that game. I mean, the list could go on, but Son, 𝗘𝟭𝟳𝗬𝗓, all sorts of players. Did you manage to speak to any before or after the game?
Yeah, I managed to. Like I said, I ended up with getting Maddison's shirt. So when there was a little bit of, I think the nets were a little bit broke, weren't they, at the start of the game, which is proper non-league. So yeah, I managed to have a quick chat with Maddison before and after the game because he likes his golf, and so do I. So yeah, we had a little bit of a chat, but everybody at Tottenham were, they were so good. Most of the players stayed to sign shirts after the game for the lads and things like that. And the manager and Postecoglou was brilliant. So yeah, like I say, it was just a great occasion. Tottenham were brilliant. I think Tamworth as a club were brilliant as well. So yeah, it was just a great occasion.
Well, I remember when I watched the game, the atmosphere at the ground was amazing, and I know Andrew was getting a bit of stick from the Tamworth fans. So, what was that sort of like, that atmosphere, walking out?
Yeah, like I say, I got to walk out with my little one as well. So that was one of the best experiences I've ever had. But like I say, when you walk out and you just see all the fans, and there's the scarves in the air, people are clapping, shouting, singing. It was literally, it has to be one of the best crowds that Tamworth have seen. And like I say, we managed to put on a little bit of not a show because we ended up losing, but we put on a performance to be proud of, mate, to be honest.
Well, I think another big talking point in the game was obviously, had the rule not changed, and by the end of the 90 minutes it was 0-0, so you would have earned yourself a replay. I think it was a big talking point before, and I think it was probably an even bigger talking point afterwards. But what did you sort of feel about, obviously, the fact that you wouldn't get a replay at Spurs Stadium, and it obviously happened the way it did? But what did you make of not getting the replay?
Yeah, of course, we were gutted. We really were gutted. But what I will say is, it would have gave Burton another chance to beat us in the previous round. But like I say, we do back ourselves to beat anybody at home, where the replay have been. But like I say, it swings and roundabouts kind of thing. So would we have ended up getting through and playing Tottenham? We don't know. So it is what it is. We can't change the rules. Us as players just have to go with it, and that it is what it is. And hopefully the FA or whoever makes the decisions look at it for next season and give these, because the FA Cup helps non-league teams financially so much, especially a part-time team like ourselves. Do you know what I mean? We're not the most financially perfect club, I don't think. So any income from the FA Cup really does help.
Yeah, because even for like Southend, personally, a replay would have helped us out. Obviously, the sort of difficulties that we've had in recent years, and the Charlton game. I mean, we were so close to putting off, not quite a fairy tale like the Tottenham Tamworth game, but fairy tale in our own right. And we were so close, and we would have got a replay at the Valley, which would have been amazing. But it is one of those things. But obviously, we are going to talk a little bit about Southend versus Tamworth now. But one more thing I just wanted to ask is, are you sort of in contact with any of the Spurs players still?
No, not really. I think Jazz managed to have a little bit of a chat with Maddison on X or Twitter, because his baby was born literally 24 hours before the Spurs game. But I think the two clubs are still in contact. I think a few of our officials and board members have been to a few Spurs games, so I think there's a little bit of a connection there. But on a personal level, no, mate, not really.
Fair enough. Obviously, now I'm going to talk a little bit about Southend. I won't keep you too much longer because I know I've sort of gone over what I said to you before. But there's just so much to talk about with this. Literally from Stourbridge all the way up to Tamworth, you've had such an amazing career. So if we talk a little bit about the Southend game, so Tamworth as a team, obviously you've spoken about that confidence. What do you think their key strengths are as a team? Do you think it is that confidence, or what's the sort of key strengths?
We just have a really good dressing room. We knew how tough coming into this league was going to be. I think there's only 2 part-time teams, isn't that? But when we're on the pitch, we do, like I said, there is loads of cliches in football, but we do run through brick walls for one another. We all get on. There's no like animosity in the dressing room at any point or anything like that. It's just brilliant. And like I say, we all good mates. I think there's a lot of lads that potentially go out with each other, outside of football and things like that. So it's great. And like I say, I think the gaffer and the coaching staff have created a really good environment, and I'm just happy to be part of it for the last 2 years, 18 months. So that's probably that, mate. That definitely won us an extra 10 points when we won the league last season.
Yeah. Well, at this moment in time, I believe you're sitting in a pretty comfortable 15th, which has exceeded many people's expectations. Probably not your own expectations because of your confidence. You probably expect to sort of be in this position. But how do you think that your first season in this league with Tamworth has been?
Like you say, you've summed it up well yourself there. I think it's been better than a lot of people expected. I think we were predicted to just finish bottom, not to get to 20 points. So to be on, I think we're on 39 points now with 15 games left, which has been brilliant. And our remit is still to try and stay in the league. There's 45, 42 points to play for. Yeah, people are scrapping for their lives. And there's always one team that pops up out the bottom 4 and goes on a really good run. So we have to be mindful of that. So like I say, we just go into every game concentrating on ourselves, trying to pick up 3 points, pick up what we can away from home. And I think we've managed to do that mostly this season. But there has been times where we've been disappointed. But I think that's just our expectations, because we don't want to lose any game of football. But then, like I say, you have to have a sense of realism. So if you were to offer us 15th now, I think a lot of people would take it, and and be big again next season.
We spoke about the dressing room, and we've mentioned him before, but one man I want to speak about is Andy Peakes, because personally for me, I really rate him as a manager, and he's done wonders really for Tamworth. So just a few things for people at home. So since joining in 2022, he's had 2 promotions. Obviously, the cup run we've spoken about, being Huddersfield, Burton, taking Spurs to extra time. His loss percentage in those 3 years, not even 3 years, is 24%, just under 24%, which is just mind-blowing, really. So how crucial has he been in sort of Tamworth's rise and your journey as a player? Obviously, you've only had him for a few years, but you as a player as well.
Yeah, like I said, he's outside of football, he's a really good guy as well. He's always honest with you. If you want to have a chat with him while you're not playing and things like that, he's always open to things like that. So yeah, he's just a really good guy, but he fully deserves. I think he's just gone full time at the club, so he can do a lot more work, because I think this league, you need it in this league. So yeah, it's fully deserved. But like I say, he just tries to simplify everything. We don't try and do something we can't do. He's not asking us to do a million step overs and stick one in the top corner every single time. We know our strengths and we try and play to them, really. So yeah, him and Champs, Tim, we just try and simplify everything, get the best out of our abilities, and and just just work hard and try and make our home ground a little bit of a fortress, like they say in football, and pick up what we can away from home. But like I say, it's been tough at times. But like I say, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. So yeah, the gaff has been great for me personally as well, and he brought me in, and I hope I've repaid him a little bit.
Definitely. Well, just sort of to wrap it up a little bit, but obviously it's the Southend podcast, and I acknowledge that we haven't really spoken about Southend pretty much the whole podcast, just because there's so much to get through. But looking at Southend, obviously from a player who isn't a Southend player, your perspective, what do you think are some of Southend's key sort of strengths?
Well, I think you've lost the boy up front, didn't you? I think he's gone to 𝗧𝗢𝗡𝗞𝗦. I think he was a handful.
Yeah.
You played some of the best football when we played at your place, and you were very clinical. I think we made 2 mistakes, but I think mistakes were only caused by people putting you under pressure. So yeah, you were very good. Like I say, you've got a good fan base to get behind you as well, which is, it's a really good place to play football. I think you're coming into the game tomorrow in good form. I think you're unbeaten in the last 3 games. I think you took 7 points from 9. So we're under no illusions that it's going to be tough again. Like every game. You've got a wing back that's one of the top scorers in the league, which is a little bit crazy. And you've got some really good football players. So we've got to try and impose ourselves on you on Southend. And I've got a good mate there in Danny Waldron. So hopefully I get to see him as well. But yeah, mate, we know it's going to be tough. You're a very good side. And I think you're 8th in the league, and potentially get into the playoffs as well. So there's a lot of points to play for, but hopefully you just don't pick up any points tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that's probably the only place where we'll disagree this podcast, because obviously it's quite a long journey for me. I am going tomorrow, so I'll be in the away end.
Be nice to see you.
Yeah. So I'll be in the away end, and obviously it's a bit of a trek for me as well, because I'm not sure what the difference is from Southend to Tamworth, and where I live in Kent to Tamworth, but I'm quite southern Kent as well, so it's going to be quite a long journey for me. But anything to follow Southend. But I've definitely done further journeys. I mean, this season already I've done York, and previously I drove all the way to Oldham just for it to get cancelled, so that was interesting. But the joys of non-league.
Yeah, you're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong.
Yep. But thank you so much, Tom, for sort of giving me the time to do this podcast. And I'm sure, well, I hope that people at home really enjoyed it as well. Is there anything you want to say before I end it?
No, mate, just thanks for having me on. Like I say, it's keep up the good work. It's not easy doing these type of things, because I know some guests don't always want to come on and things like that. But I feel like you're obviously going in the right direction. So yeah, just keep up the good work.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Yeah, if anybody at home did enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you again, Tom, for coming on. And I'll see you all on the next one. And hopefully I am going to keep this up, because obviously I had a little break, but, because I had lots going on behind the scenes. But now I'm back, and yeah, hopefully to stay. So see you all in the next one.